Welcome back to our series on the home buying process, start to finish. We're moving into step two. The other video, the step one was pre-approval, pre-processing, which actually had a bunch of sub videos that broke that process into all the different categories. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check out that video. The first step is to get pre-approved before you find your agent, because if you go out and start looking at homes before you're pre-approved, you might fall in love with a home you don't qualify for, and then things just kind of fall apart from there. So really, as fun as it is to look at homes versus giving somebody a bunch of your financial documentation, start with step one. But let's assume now you completed step one, you know exactly what you can afford, what the bank can afford you for, a payment you're comfortable with. Now you're ready to find a real estate agent to help you find that home. So if you don't already have an agent, I'm going to go over the 7 things. And so, of course, review these 7 things with the agent you might have right now. But if you don't, if you've got a great lender who's local to that market, it's been there for a long time with a strong reputation, they're an excellent resource for you. As well as if you have family in the area who have bought and sold homes, they could be a good referral. But just because they use an agent doesn't mean it was good. So if you ask them how it was, they're like, oh, I don't know, I think it's good. That's not a strong referral. I would be looking for somebody who has, I would call it, a raving review of the agent they worked with. They absolutely love that agent and they can't say enough good things. That's a good place to start with. So let's jump into the 7 things I think you should be looking for when you decide to have an agent work on your behalf. Number 1 is responsiveness. How responsive are they to my emails or my phone calls or my text? I want to make sure that if I find a property I like or I have a question that I'm kind of not sure about, that they're going to respond in a reasonable amount of time. And so I do use reasonable. It's not fair for anybody to think that you can send an agent a text at 7 o'clock at night and they're going to respond right back. They might. If they do, awesome, but it shouldn't be the expectation. But if I send an agent a request at 10 o'clock in the morning, I would expect that by the end of business day, them or somebody on their team is going to be answering that question for me. So responsiveness. Number 2 we're going to move on to is explanation. Can they explain all the different documents and all the processes you're going to go through? They should be taking the time with you to show you kind of the benefits of buying versus renting. You might already think you know that, but they really should kind of take you through the process start to finish just to make sure all the important information is being covered. They should be able to explain all the different parts of a sales contract, all the different parts of an addendum. If you need to do different, there's all kinds of different addendums you might have to go through. When your title report comes out, do they understand a title report? I'd be surprised how many don't. And then do they automatically reach out to you and say, hey, title report's out, let's review this together to make sure you know exactly what this means? Because if they just leave it to you, I don't know, it's just not cool. If you don't read title reports all the time, it's not going to make as much sense to you. So they should be explaining things. Number 3, they need to know the market. They really need to understand all the different aspects of the real estate market, not just in general, is the housing market hot or cold? No, I really want to know what's going on in this neighborhood. What's going on in this part of town? Where's the good schools? Where's the bad schools? Where's the crime rates high? Where the crime rates low? Where are the parks? They really need to know the market as a whole. Are there certain areas where maybe industry has been leaving and so it's getting worse and worse and worse, or maybe industries are coming in? These are all important things to know if you're going to make a major purchase and you're not yourself familiar with the local market. All right, so number 4 is they know how to negotiate, okay? Asking somebody for something is not the same thing as negotiating. Negotiating is a skill, and it's actually a skill that a lot of agents haven't developed yet. A seasoned agent does know this. Negotiation is the ability to ask in such a way that it increases your chance of actually getting what you want. If you don't have an agent that does that, then you might not get the best deal for the home, or when the home inspections come through and you have to negotiate or some repairs and things, you may not get the most favorable turnout. You can ask in a way that's offensive to the seller and the seller's agent, which causes difficulty or cancellation of the contract, or you can ask in a way that lets them know it's reasonable and get what you want. So an ability to negotiate is important, and it's not something that's universal just because you have realtor on your business card. All right. And again, I love realtors, but again, I just want to make sure you know that just like with lenders, they're not all the same just because they've been around for a few years. Okay. Number 5, really important here, strong reputation in the market. Really important. This goes for both your real estate agent and your lender. You have no idea how many times a transaction that you put an offer in, you might have been the highest priced offer and it didn't get accepted because of your team or one of your team members. Realtors have reputations. They're either known for being really good, really easy to work with, and being fair, or they could be known as these people are going to be difficult to work with. They're going to give you a really fancy offer, make you think it's great, but then they're going to really work you over when the home inspection comes out, or where the case might be. Same thing with your lenders. There are lenders who have reputations for closing on time, communicating well, smooth transaction, and there's lenders that have reputations for deals fall apart. You can never get a hold of the guy. This ain't going to close on time if it closes at all. So if you don't have a good team, you might actually be losing out on deals you otherwise would have won had you had a good team. So reputation, very important. All right, so let's move on to number 6 here. I want a realtor that stays involved start to finish. Okay. Some realtors can do really good at the front side. They love the sales, get things going. But once you're under contract and the home inspection is done, they kind of just drop off and either turn it over to their team or just turn it over to the lender and the title companies and escrow companies and just kind of wait back for the check at that point, figuring their work is done. I wouldn't like that. I want somebody who, even though most of the heavy lifting for them has been done, is going to stay involved throughout the process, keep my stress and anxiety level low, following up with my lenders, following up the title report, following up, make sure the sellers have completed what they should be doing, even though the seller's agent should be responsible for that. I want my agent who's represented me to make sure they're doing it because I don't want them to trust. I don't want to trust it. I want to make sure, verified. So that should be something to stay involved, start to finish until you have the keys, you're in it. Number 7, last thing I think you should be looking for in a real estate agent is, are they going to be a good resource and somebody you want to actually be a resource for you long after closing? Just because the deal's done, you have the keys to the house, doesn't mean things don't show up in those first few months. Your lender can be a good resource too, like come around tax time or some things you get in the mail you're not quite sure about. But your agent should also be a good resource. Also, I want an agent who's going to keep me up to date on what's going on with my house. Even though I may not be planning to sell the next 10 years, it's nice to know how is my investment. For most of us, this is our single largest investment. How is it performing in the market? That's good information. Also, a great real estate agent who's been in the market for a long time, they got lots of connections. So if all of a sudden now, hey, I need a painter, I need a heating guy, I need somebody to build a fence or replace a roof, whatever it is, instead of just having to randomly pick out these really important people to work in my home, if I can reach back out to my agent, who's, again, a professional, who's there, happy to take my call and happy to arrange some of this stuff for me or just make the introductions, I want to be much, much happier. So there you go. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, the bell button too. You'll be alerted to the other videos that come out. Share this with friends and family. Buying a home can be fun and it can be lower stress if you know the process, and that's what this series is all about. Until step 3, have a great time.